डुलेर जाउँथे नादमा भङ्ग्याङ रेशम फेरि कृष्णले बन्दुक ऐनाले बन्दुक मृगलाई ताकेको कृष्णले बन्दुक ऐनाले बन्दुक मृगलाई ताकेको मृगलाई मैले ताकेको होइन मायालाई ताकेको मृगलाई मैले ताकेको होइन मायालाई ताकेको रेशम फेरि
The view from my window seat on the early morning flight to Siliguri wasn't how I intended to start this vlog. But the flight was over the beautiful Eastern Ghats and it felt like the photography tour had started even before landing in West Bengal. I was on a 4-night quest to capture the night sky from remote locations inside Singalila National Park close to the Indo-Nepal border. A batch of around 20 photographers from various parts of India had assembled in Siliguri for this tour. The previous evening was reserved for orientation and introductions. The next morning, we left at 7 am by regular taxis to a place called Mane Baijan. From there, we shifted to 4x4 jeeps to Tonglu, our first destination inside the national park. It was a grueling ascent on narrow roads which had only boulders and no tarmac. Behind me is Nepal and this side is India, and this road that we are on divides Nepal and India. Our accommodation for the night was in a trekker's hostel in Tonglu. Beside the hostel was a beautiful pond which was the location for the first evening of Milky Way photography. The area was foggy till around 6 pm, but then heavy winds cleared up the skies to reveal a beautiful and bright Milky Way. In October, the window to shoot the Milky Way is very short. So we wound up by 8 pm and went indoors to escape the biting cold. Tired from the bone-crushing jeep ride, I hit the sack after dinner. Sunrise happens early in West Bengal, and it would have been a crime to miss seeing the golden rays of the sun engulf the second tallest peak in the world. The lovely view of the Sleeping Buddha mountain range made up for the basic amenities at Tonglu. By 9 am, we were up and ready to leave for our next destination, which was Chondu. It was another long and uncomfortable journey by the 4x4s on roads which felt worse. By noon, we crossed Sandakpur, which is the highest peak in West Bengal. At Chondu, we stayed at a lodge which was about 45 minutes beyond Sandakpur. This was the only structure in a vast and treeless plateau. Chondu had the perfect setting to capture sunrise, sunset, and of course the Milky Way. But when we reached Chondu, it was cloudy again. I had no idea about what was in store here, both in terms of the weather and the views. My friend and I were up early the next morning and we were awestruck by the clear views of Mount Everest. The Sleeping Buddha mountain range, comprising of Mount Kanchenjunga and other Himalayan peaks, were also clearly visible. 2 cameras felt inadequate to capture the beauty around us. Most tourists visiting Singalila National Park halt at Sandakpur. Ours was the only group in Chondu. We tried different compositions with the Milky Way during the 2 nights we stayed here. We were a pretty large group, but Chondu had enough open space for all of us. I'm in Singalila National Park. We've spent 2 nights here. It's terribly windy. It's so windy that it's been a true test of ourselves and our equipment. The highlight of this place is not just the awesome views of Mount Everest and Mount Kanchenjunga, but the bottle class 1 skies, which means absolutely no light pollution. So we've been shooting the Milky Way in these weather conditions, and it's been truly rewarding. From Chondu, we went to the final destination inside the national park. Tumling is a small village in Nepal, but it has a modern hotel which provided hot running water and electricity, both of which we did not have access to at Tonglu and Chondu. I almost skipped stepping out to shoot the Milky Way on the final night of the tour to enjoy the comfortable room. But I remembered that I had travelled far from my hometown for this, and that I would probably never be able to come to these remote places on my own. A few of us formed a small group and went around trying different compositions of the Milky Way that night. Since Tumling was at a lower altitude, there was a little bit of light pollution in the horizon, but nevertheless we got our shots. It's 7:30 am here in Tumling. I'm sitting on a road which is in India, but Tumling is in Nepal. We stayed here last night, and today the trip to Singalila National Park comes to a close. Tumling is just outside Singalila National Park, but from here I can still see Mount Kanchenjunga on one side, and on this side is the road that we took to go to Sandakphu and beyond, where we spent 2 nights. I can't wait to get back home and process my Milky Way images on a big screen. It's been a wonderful trip where we've shot not just the night sky but also beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Thank you for watching this vlog, and do visit my website for more images.